This is a journey into sound. This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new value.
In this place, music is the universal language that connects us all from every corner of the world. Different lives, different stories come together, bound by a single dream. Each beat, a bridge, every melody, a shared experience. Here, we're not just listeners. We're part of a greater journey, a collective memory that transcends time and space. Different voices, one song, united in the rhythm of life.
Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out.
The lyrics are one thing, but there's something that happens in music that isn't lyrical, and hence it can transcend different languages and different cultures. I mean, music is this kind of the soundtrack of our emotions, I think. It's kind of, if your brain made noises when it was emotional, these would be the noises it makes.
Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother.
And because you resound with other people, if your emotions are audible and you're adhering to that, then somebody else who's having a similar emotion can connect with you because you're both reliving it through music. And so music has always been a sort of a barometer and a language of our emotions, but dance music particularly is about a particular kind of emotion. And I'm assuming that from once we cavemen learned how to bang sticks against the wall of the cage, they started dancing and they started communicating through rhythm. Because obviously a lot of music is very much about the melody and the lyrics, but dance music is very much concerned with the rhythm. And rhythm is a very primeval thing, it's very sexual, it's very, but it's also a celebration. So dance music is a celebration of life, but it's also an escape from the realities of life for a bit. So it's that connection. It's all about connection, and it's all about bringing people together collectively, but also escaping together collectively.
Should we just stop here, or should I pour it along the white one? Just stop here. Yeah, sure.
we would always be. Without you, I feel lost at sea. Through the darkness, you'd hide with me. Like the wind, we'd be wild and free. You said you'd follow me anywhere. But your eyes tell me you won't be there. I gotta learn how to love without you. I gotta carry my cross without you. Stuck in the middle and I'm just about you. Figure it out without you. And I'm done sitting on without you. Fuck, I'm going out without you. I'm gonna tear the city down without you. I'm going body inclined without you.
Before there was electronic music or techno, there was house.
In the beginning there was Jack, and Jack had a groove, and from this groove came the grooves of all grooves. And while one day viciously throwing down on his box, Jack boldly declared, "Let there be house," and house music was born.
So any study of electronic music must begin with house. House music emerged in the early 1980s in Chicago, rising from the charred ashes of disco's decline. DJs like Frankie Knuckles and Larry Heard reimagined disco beats using experimental drum machines and synthesizers, crafting an altogether fresh sound that embraced diversity and innovation.
Coming up, it's a sound that connects, uplifts, and unites.
It's a groove that channels a different place in you.
House music is more of a feeling than it is a sound.
That infectious feeling was created in Chicago's underground black gay clubs by DJs blending musical genres.
Disco is the mother of house. Gospel is the father of house. Funk and soul are the brothers and sisters of house. I mean, it's all mixed in there.
The music rose from the ashes of disco.
America loves the music of black people, but not always the actual black people who create it.
House music is disco's revenge.
House music spread worldwide.
It's essentially the blueprint for all of electronic dance music.
When you move your body for the goal of joy and ecstasy and freedom and liberation, and it just does something.
And it all started in Chicago.
And while house music brought the groove and the soulful vibes, techno introduced a more mechanical, experimental edge. And these two cities, Chicago and Detroit, became the twin engines for driving the evolution of modern electronic music, each shaping the genre in unique and influential ways.
My perspective on the beginning of houses is definitely colored by where I came up, which is New York City. So me growing up as a teenager in New York, I went to the High School of Art and Design, which kind of was the nexus of graffiti, breakdancing, and the early hip-hop movement. I used to be a graffiti writer, a breakdancer, and I was going to parties in the Bronx, the Zulu Nation used to do. So, and early DJing, guys like Grandmaster Flash were the initial cutting up 2 tracks and extending a break in between to make a much longer break track. That was where the New York City kind of hip-hop scene, which then dovetailed into the way DJs were playing disco and soul.
My history of clubbing goes back to I won't say the early 70s. I started as collecting records, 73, 74. By 1975, I got turntables mixed. I was a DJ 50 years ago. When I was 17, I was able to sneak into a few clubs. And that's where I noticed a participation that you even mentioned earlier that was church-like. The reason why I bring up the loft and mainly the Paradise Garage is because the Paradise Garage originally was predominantly black and gay and only opened on Saturdays. There was no liquor and it was pure party. And the hours were like midnight to 11 a.m., midnight to noon. And what I witnessed there was this unity of people releasing and letting go of the dramas in their lives. And like I said, a lot of it had to do with poverty.
My name's Graham Park. I've been a DJ since the early 80s. The garage in Nottingham is where I started, and I'm probably best known for being a resident DJ at Hacienda, Cream, Ministry of Sound, and here I am in the 21st century still doing it. I think if it wasn't for disco, you wouldn't have early house music, because people like Marshall Jefferson, DJ Pierre in Chicago, or in Detroit, you had Kevin Saunderson and Juan Atkins. They just wanted to make dance music, disco music, but they couldn't afford to book studios and orchestras. So what do you do? You go for cheap drum machines and synthesizers. Chicago was probably more influenced by the disco scene, but Detroit was probably more influenced by European electronic music like Kraftwerk.
We have to go back to the 70s. I mean, Giorgio Moroder, Kraftwerk. I think the biggest electronic song ever created in the world that was made all on a Moog was I Feel Love by Donna Summer, produced by Giorgio Moroder. And that's all synthesizers. No real instruments, nothing. And that's still a testimony of a classic. No matter what audience, commercial or underground, they still love that song.
In the midst of all this teenage rebellion, I heard this song called I Feel Love by Donna Summer. And it was like, in the midst of all the punk rock I was listening to, there was something about this record that just spoke to me. And it was like these little, I don't know, it's like aliens speaking to me, going, hi, we're beautiful and lovely and warm and cuddly, and this is probably what it sounds like to be on drugs. It was predicting where house music was going to go.
Those primal beats returned in different forms. Really like a rebirth of disco. Although it wasn't called disco.
In the beginning there was Jack, and Jack had a groove, and from this groove came the groove of all.
When house music first kind of started, it was like the map was completely redrawn.
Jack Rowland declared, let there be house, and house music was born. I am, you see, I am the creator, and this is my house.
The inner city of Chicago really celebrating disco from 10 years before. Experimental sessions of setting drum machines and synthesizers. And no one had ever actually heard what a drum pattern played over 6-7 minutes coming out of a machine sounded like.
And of course now, today, as technology becomes cheaper and more available, house has kind of morphed into disco anyway. But what I like about house music and dance music is its eclecticism. The fact that nothing's off the table. You can borrow ideas from any genre and turn them into dance records or house records. And those original Chicago and Detroit pioneers, that's what they were doing. They were kind of showing people what could be done with basic drum machines and synthesizers. And you know, back in the day, I mean, everyone's got a laptop now with very powerful software like Pro Tools and Ableton and Logic. But back then, the computers were very basic. The Atari 1040 STFM but linking them up with tape machines and drum machines just made for this beautiful, raw, exciting music.
Disco music was made by musicians, arrangers, songwriters. When house music started being made, it was made by DJs. We had no musical training.
Frankie Knuckles was resident DJ at the Warehouse in Chicago, and that's where the abbreviation house came from. He began experimenting in mixing and remixing techniques, giving disco a more mechanical electronic sound. And this new sound was often abbreviated and labeled as house music by the record stores, so they could write the genre into their record dividers. And it rapidly gained popularity within the Black and Latino LGBTQ communities. And eventually it spread to other cities, influencing the development of various subgenres.
I think that Frankie said it best when he said house music is disco's revenge.
House music is the evolution of disco.
At the Warehouse, Knuckles began remixing disco songs on the spot, using 2 turntables and a mixer. He pushed the boundaries and added drum tracks, sound effects, and sampled other artists to create an entirely new sound.
It's funny because with house, you can't really pinpoint what exactly makes it house other than the groove, you know, but you feel it in ways that you don't feel anything else.
House music is freedom, it's liberation.
It's a feeling of release, it's a feeling of exhilaration, it's a feeling of happiness.
It is music of struggle, but also of joy and pleasure, of triumph.
The house music community and the culture is an evolution of the Black arts movement.
House music did more than make people dance. It created a culture that touched people in a deep and meaningful way.
There's a groove that channels a different place in you. It's like going to church, 4 on 4 going to church. It's a spiritual element.
Frankie Knuckles is a Frankie Knuckles. Frankie Knuckles is a Frankie Knuckles story. Frankie Knuckles is authentic. The Frankie Knuckles is what's the difference from blue jeans and Levi's? Frankie Knuckles is Levi's. For me, is my teacher. For me, the best DJ for house music, the best creative, simple, chic, normal, gay, is the best. The best of the best.
DJs like Frankie Knuckles, and Frankie is considered the godfather of house because even though I believe he was born in New York, he emigrated to Chicago and he lived there for quite some time, and he had a residency at a club called the Warehouse. So about the time that he was playing his music in the Warehouse, people were starting to try to request music when they went to the record shops in Chicago. I want to play that music that I hear at the Warehouse. That then was shortened to what we know now as house music. Same time that was going on in Chicago, in New York, we started seeing house music coming in, and me as kind of like this young DJ, I was playing funk, soul, disco, early breaks, Latin hip hop, which was known as freestyle at the time. But when house music started coming into New York, that's when I was going to places like Paradise Garage, the Loft, and the roots of house music are disco, funk, and soul. And the kind of 4-floor tracks that started coming out of Chicago, Jesse Saunders, putting out, I think the label was Just Say Records, was I think known as kind of like the first house record that was actually termed as house music. but really the term comes from people wanted to know what Frankie Knuckles was playing at the warehouse, which was disco, funk, soul.
The small club 92, after 2 years, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people. I work for Frankie around the world, in Napoli, Florence, Milano, London, Ibiza, Mykonos. For me, the very special man because New York, but influence, European influence inside. It's the simple, mixing, the creative, the normal. It's DJ. Carl Cox is the very special, big names. I think they're very nice men, nice friends for the techno. Carl Cox play house, techno, disco, everything. The best Carl Cox from electronic, no house. For electronics, the best. House, I prefer Frankie Knuckles. But Carl Cox is the entertainment, story, industry, Carl Cox. For electronics, the best. Laurent Garnier, the best. Carl Cox is the best. Jeff meets us sometimes.
Frankie Knuckles, I mean, rest in peace. You know, I think he was the godfather. A lot of people would say that he was the guy that was at the forefront, not only in the 80s, but 70s, you know, right way back. And, you know, I was lucky enough to interview him. So, I had this amazing opportunity when I was working with Ministry of Sound, which is a big club brand in London. They sent me to Ibiza and said, would you go and run our magazine in Ibiza for like the whole summer, 4 months? And I got to meet all sorts of people over there, including Frankie Knuckles, and I interviewed him, which is just a privilege and one of my, favorite memories, because in going back to Chicago, and finding the warehouse, just because I was interested a bit, like yourself, of finding these spaces and having a look. Obviously it's nothing now. And then you look up on the streets, Frankie Knuckles Way, and his influence, Barack Obama, wrote an obituary to Frankie Knuckles when he died.
Sicuramente tra i primi c'è a livello di riscontro con il pubblico, sicuramente non possiamo dimenticarci di Carl Cox per quello che riguarda la scena un po' più con BPM un po' più alti. Per quello che riguarda invece la mia scena ce ne sono veramente tante, Frankie Knuckles in primis, che è il nostro papà, gli stessi Masters at Work, Todd Terry, Roger Sanchez, tutti veramente dei grandissimi artisti che conosco da 30 anni, delle bellissime persone. In più poi dipende dalla scena, perché per dirti c'è tutta poi la scena quella tra virgolette un po' commerciale dove vince Bobby Sinclair, David Guetta, che è una scena che a me non mi appartiene, però pure su DJ che fanno parecchi numeri riescono a fare platee di 200.000 persone, quindi sono anche da tenere come riferimento, quindi è difficile dire chi è il numero uno. Nel 1992 la sua prima volta e facemmo questo tour in Italia, Bergamo, Cocorico, e facemmo questo rave ad Avezzano insieme a molti promoter italiani, organizzato da Claudio Coccoluto e Alex Serafini, che era il manager in quei tempi di Frankie Knuckles, e facemmo la prima volta di Frankie ad Avezzano in questo capannone che era un capannone di patate. Lo adibimmo a club, vennero più di 8.000 persone e fu la sua prima volta in assoluto in Italia. Poi è venuto praticamente da noi su Napoli, veniva almeno 2 o 3 volte l'anno.
I was influenced heavily when I was 6-7 years old with like Tangerine Dream, Kraftwerk, the minimal German electronic sound in the 70s, and then got more involved with disco. I'm from Philadelphia, so I guess the roots of what people say house music started is that a lot of people say that it started and its inception was Chicago. Chicago to me is the pinnacle. I wanted to make music because of Kraftwerk and Chicago. If it wasn't for Little Louis, Mr. Fingers, DJ Pierre, Adonis, the Acid House sound. Well, Frankie Knuckles later, but Frankie and I were friends and colleagues throughout the years, playing at festivals, playing at clubs.
Carl Cox has been DJing probably long. I mean, I've been DJing 41 years. He's probably been doing it longer. And I suppose he's one of the innovators, one of the originators, and he's a great guy as well. I get accused of never stopping, but I also do other things as well. I'm a part-time senior lecturer. I do a weekly radio show. I'm a husband and a father, and those things are as important to me as DJ. There are DJs, and maybe Carl's an example of this, who have invested pretty much everything into what they do.
I think out of the embers of that grew something else. The disco music, you can very clearly see some roots from disco into house music, into Frankie Knuckles, into kind of black gay music. It didn't suck, and it didn't die, and they didn't demolish anything. There's a very racist undertone to what they were doing, because all the kind of white rockers were kind of burning their disco records, if they had disco records. And I think it's not only me who've thought that or written about that, because that was only was that 79, maybe, the disco demolition, early 80s. Guess what? It all starts reformulating and coming back, which is what I think happens with music. Nothing happens in isolation, which is why the book that I did, Transatlantic Drift, is trying to connect these scenes, because what happens in Detroit and Chicago comes over to Manchester.
In the shadows of London's late 1960s studios, a quiet revolution took shape. Voices and circuits, tape loops and electric dreams, an apprenticeship in sound that would rewire popular music. Across Britain, experimental composers and finery DJs sketched the contours of a new listening realm, electronic music, born from curiosity, not convention. From here, United Kingdom begin to listen to America in a whole new way. Chicago House arrived on import records and on the mouths of DJs who spoke in 4-on-the-floor grammar and soulful water. New York offered groove, uplift, and a precision that made dance floors move with clarity. UK clubs and DJs translated these sounds, shaping them with a British sensibility, an emphasis on groove, community, and the floor, and a desire to push the boundaries on what a party could be. Then Detroit spoke in a stark, machine-like voice. Techno arrived with a different cadence. It was harder, deeper, more insistent. Rhythms built like industrial poetry. Futures imagined through synths and drum machines. The British reaction wasn't to mimic, but to absorb, distill, and fuse, letting these textures mingle with the local energy until a distinct UK techno voice emerged. In London, a constellation of clubs and brands rose to codify this new world. Ministry of Sound became a temple of high-fidelity sound and a global curation, a beacon where house, trance, and frictionless club experience found its home. Trevor Fong enters the fray. As an early pioneer, he stitched together Pete and Horizon, curating records, mixing textures, and importing American house and European electronics to the UK floors. His sets helped turn a city into a conveyor belt of new sounds. And across town, Paul Oakenfold emerged as a central figure in the late 80s and 90s explosion of acid, trance and progressive house. From legendary London clubs to global stages, his craft, DJing, production and a sense for the climactic moment propelled UK dance culture onto the world's biggest stages. Cream began as a nightly concept club and grew into a global phenomenon, exporting a distinctly British interpretation of the international electronic move. Renaissance, with its London roots and iconic mix compilations, invited the dance hall to explore the refined fusion of progressive house and techno. The Hacienda in Manchester stood as a meteoric emblem of do-it-yourself energy, raw, independent and transformative, and it set its spirit rippling through the UK club scene, far beyond its home city.
Dancing till we die.
When I was first playing in England, I was doing Ministry of Sound, I was doing Renaissance, I was doing Cream in Liverpool, and here was a Hacienda. And everybody talked about the Hacienda. You had Gate Crashers as well. You had God's Kitchen, Back to Basics. What was the other one? Sankey's.
House was played out in deserted basements and empty warehouses. And this underground movement laid the groundwork for electronic dance music, or EDM, transforming club culture and influencing countless genres worldwide, ultimately igniting a lasting musical revolution. And as house music emerged in the early 1980s in Chicago, around the same time, Detroit was giving birth to its own revolutionary sound, techno. Detroit's techno scene was pioneered by artists like Juan Atkins, Derek May, and Kevin Saunderson, often referred to as the Belleville Three. They combined electronic music with futuristic themes and a gritty industrial sound that reflected Detroit's automotive and industrial landscape.
As a great part of it, dance music, it kind of it unites communities, whether it's like the gay community or just young people who want to get high and get laid, or there's different factions and tribes within the communities. The black t-shirt brigade, the minimal people, and the extravagant side of it. So it's there's little communities within the dance music community, but like all communities, if you face a common enemy or hardship, it brings you closer together, and you use music to connect you like that.
My name is Simon A. Morrison. I like to have the middle initial. I started out in Manchester as a student, going to all the nightclubs and everything back in the late 80s and 90s. I became a music journalist, writing about that scene for magazines in London, like DJ Magazine, and then that all took off, and they sent me all around the world, a little bit like you're going around the world, reviewing nightclubs and having the time of my life. And then I got a little old for all of that, and I kind of hit 40, and I just decided to completely rejig my whole life. So I went back into academia, and I got a PhD, and my PhD was about nightclub. I was lucky enough to go to Chicago and go to Detroit to research the stuff that I was writing about, and the people that I spoke to there had a very, very interesting take on it, which I think there's this kind of transatlantic drift, as I would call it, of influence from the UK and Europe to America. So I think, from what I was being told in Chicago, that they were trying to use Japanese electronics from Roland, like the 808 drum machine and bass emulators, to try and replicate European synth pop. I think that's what was going on, and they would admit, in trying to do that, they failed into creating house music in Chicago and created something completely new. Yet the Roland 808 drum machine didn't work for what it was supposed to do. But if you overdrive it and you squelch the dials, then you get something completely different out of it. And I think that's what was going on in Chicago. That was the origin. I think, when these machines came out, the Roland 808, for instance, it was supposed to kind of replace the drummer in a kind of, for busking or in a studio if you're just doing demos, but it wasn't good enough. And so I think they kind of sold what they could, and then those machines ended up in pawn shops, that's PAWN, where they became affordable for different kind of people to kind of go, oh, what's that machine? Let's see what we can make out of that. And I think there was a lot of that going on. And I think a lot of fantastic developments in music happen from beautiful accidents. And I think what they were trying to do didn't quite work, but what they did as a consequence was something else completely. So suddenly you could have a drum machine, you could take that music into a nightclub, as Frankie Knuckles was doing, and try and place music off reel-to-reel tape and add some drum beats. And then I think a lot of people were watching what was going on, like the Detroit people, the Detroit techno people, were able to kind of take that back and do something slightly different with it again.
I was lucky to stumble upon the Detroit scene very early. I was probably 16, 17. The main hub was a club called the Music Institute. A black box, big speakers, and a strobe light. All the Detroit guys playing incredible music. Jeff Mills, he was like playing so fast. He was playing all the records that I had listened to for the last year. And we were sitting in the back helping him sort his records and just copying all the records' names down. Listening to those first records, it was like every time it was like not only listening to the future, but even if it wasn't every day or every week, there was always something. Just when you started to get a little bit comfortable, someone else released a new record.
The sound is minimal. It was direct and in your face, more industrial.
Detroit is a motor city. The Ford Motor production line. That's what you hear when you hear Kevin Saunderson and Derek May and Juan Atkins. Their early records, they're stark, but they're these sounds and synthesizers and these like hi-hats, and it's just like pulling you into tomorrow. People like that feel good and in tune with technology, not afraid of it, and they're like, where is this going to take us?
Early techno coming out of Detroit, as a DJ, what I loved on it was the futurism of the sounds. There's a lot of parallel between house music and techno as they were both being kind of developed. You know, you have the guys like Juan Atkins, my brain is now starting to. Kevin Saunderson was not only an amazing producer but also a great person. What they developed with what originally was known as techno, and where techno has now, like everything, taken off to a different place and is globalized, was the starkness of what Detroit living there was like, which is interesting as a parallel to house music coming from Chicago and then finding another home in New York. A lot of our living conditions and our cultural situations really informed the sound of what techno and house became. And Detroit's rough. And it was about making music that I think reflected the starkness of what Detroit is. Yeah. There's an interesting kind of dichotomy between the starkness and a bit of brutality that's in techno. It's relentless, but there's also this kind of futuristic optimism in a sort of kind of sonic utopia that I think comes into play with techno because of where it's like what you can shape out of these forms and how do you humanize a robot. That's always been kind of like my internal understanding and sensation with techno.
Once again, lovely people, the time has come. No matter where you're from or where you're going, we will take you to a place where music is love and we love the music. If you really love the music, no matter what age, color, or gender you are, we just want you to gather around and enjoy these sweet sounds. Let us take you to some places where you see smiles on faces, beautiful people all over the world, all types of different races. So if you're with me, party people, and you still don't have a clue, put those hands to the sky because you know what to do. Are you ready?
For me, I think the biggest change is accessibility. Like I was saying, you had to be over 18 to hear dance music previously. That became more accessible. You had, I mean, when I grew up, I was aware that I was a white, suburban white English man who liked urban black dance music. And for me, that was like, well, you can't make that music unless you kind of, you know, you have to put on a fake American accent or pretend to be black. But that became more accessible when they invented the drum machine and the sampler. White kids like me could make that music without pretending to be American and black. We could do it in our own way. So the accessibility to equipment and tools, accessibility to the internet to hear what other people were doing, and because of that, it's expanded the market. And yeah, I mean, when I started DJing, for instance, we were just the weirdos. We were like sort of train spotters who'd bothered to buy all the records and had them and cared about them enough. And so we were just stuck in the corner playing our records to people. And it's gone from that to now that the DJ is the superstar. And people get into it because they want to be a superstar. Previously, DJs only got into it because we were compelled against our better nature. And all our mates were like, oh, come on the parties. That's like, oh no, I've got to save my money to buy that American import. I enjoy DJing more than I ever have. And I think I had an epiphany during lockdown when I couldn't do it for a year. When I couldn't do my job for a year, I realised exactly how much it meant to me and I sort of worked out in my life that I would cherish every moment. I mean, obviously, I'm a bit long in the tooth, so I'm enjoying my kind of probably my last hurrah doing it. But when it took it away from me, I realised how much it meant to me and how much it's a part of me to share records that I really love with other people and to soundtrack their night out. And I don't take that for granted. So I'm thoroughly enjoying myself at the moment doing it. Also, I think DJing, you just learn as you go along. As long as you keep your love of it, as long as you don't get jaded or burnt out, or a lot of people's kind of crash and burn their lifestyle. I got sober 16 years ago, so it's kind of elongated my lifestyle, I think. And it's DJs, because we were never pin-ups or pop stars in the first place. We were allowed to go old and grey and fat. No one really minds. If you're in a boy band, you've got a shelf life. If you're an athlete, you've got a shelf life. We seem to be able to go on into our latter years. And the thing is, I still learn every week. I learn one new thing. I think, oh yeah, that works. Or so I'm still learning, and I'm still enjoying it more than ever. I think I am probably living proof that the two ends of the spectrum can exist literally in the same week for me on the same island. Pikes is willfully underground. Everything's against the lasers and flashing lights and VIP sections, and it's just all about the music and one mirror ball. And then Universe is like the height of big room, big style clubbing. But there's room for both. And I'm lucky enough to straddle both.
Yeah, I mean, music is the answer to me, because even before the song that we did together, it already was the answer for me. Since I was just a mere young little boy, I was encapsulated with the music, no matter where it was coming from, which speaker, which device, car radio, jukebox. Yeah, I was so gravitated to it. And, I could recall when there was a song by Colonel Abrams that was also called Music is the Answer in the 80s. It was a very big Paradise Garage record. And there's no relation to the one that Salida and I did, but it had the same meaning, because for us people that live it, it's our life, it's our lifestyle, music is the answer. I mean, I thank God for it, because I don't know where I'd be without it, to be honest.
Right about now, funk soul brother. Right about now, funk soul brother. Check it out now, funk soul brother. Right about now, funk soul brother. Check it out now, funk soul brother. Right about now, funk soul brother. Check it out now, funk soul brother. Right about now. Right about now, funk soul brother. Check it out now, funk soul brother. Right about now, funk soul brother. Check it out now, funk soul brother. Right about now, 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 right about now, 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 about 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 now, right about now, 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 right about now.